Good morning, everyone. Thanks for joining us for Coffee with a Candidate. Today, it's my pleasure to introduce our special guest, Joseph Padilla, and he is running as your candidate for Wilson County Board of Education Zone 4. Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
How are you this morning? You doing?
I'm doing great. I'm glad to get to spend time with like I said, the Chamber of Commerce. You guys do a lot to promote local businesses, and I see you guys out there. So thank you so much for what you guys do, and then putting this together to make sure that the residents have a little bit better understanding of who they need to vote to represent their views, sir.
Well, you're very welcome. We don't have a product to sell at the chamber if we don't have a good, solid education system, and it takes money to do that. So our mission is to grow our tax base and be a business-friendly city. So we're in it together. But this morning, we'll talk a little bit about the Board of Education and Zone 4, which for our viewers is pretty much everything north of I-40 and south of Lebanon Road, from the Golden Bear West to the Davidson County line, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, sir.
And this is a vacant seat. The person who currently holds a seat has decided not to run again, so it's an open seat. Thank you for throwing your name into the hat. And if you would you take just a minute and share with folks a little bit about yourself and what you'd like the voters to know about your campaign?
Yes, sir. So my name is Joseph Padilla. I'm married 22 years to my wife. Her name is Joy. I have two children, one Joey, one Evan. My oldest is Cumberland, and my youngest is actually going into 10th grade. One thing that I'd like to tell my voters about me is that Jesus is my savior. I believe America's great, and a lot of our rights come from the Constitution and the Bible. So that's something short about me and how I feel. So hopefully that answers that, sir.
It sure does. What a great first question a lot of times is new to the position. If elected, you'll be joining some folks who have been on there, as well as maybe a couple of new ones. But let's just start with, say, the first 100 days. What will be on your radar screen in those first few months if you were to be elected?
Okay. So after I'm elected, one of my major priorities is going to be to first identify what are the largest issues that are facing that Wilson County schools are facing. Okay, what are our issues? So, for example, teacher shortages. Teacher shortages is an issue. So what I need to do is find out why or what is causing that issue. Okay, so when I first get into the office, I'm going to want to get with human resources or whoever's in charge of recruiting and finding these new teachers. And I got to see what we did in the past and what we got results from. I need to see the things that we're doing now and see if we're getting different results, and then see what have we done to change, because whatever we've been doing isn't netting us what we're looking for. So we've got to find out the why. And I think that once we find out the why, and that's for the constituents, that's for the board members, because a lot of the times we try to fix something without knowing what's causing it, and we can sit here and say that maybe, teachers' pay raise is why teachers are losing, creating holes, but if we don't know the real reason why we have a shortage, then we're not going to be able to address future teachers leaving, and at the same time, bringing new teachers in. So in any issue that Wilson County schools or Wilson County citizens are facing, we need to get down to the real root cause of it. And sometimes, because some people have been in Wilson County on the school board and in education for years, sometimes when you have all that experience, you won't look for new ideas because that's just what you've always done. So I love experience, but sometimes it's good to have a fresh set of eyes and somebody that's not going to come in that's experienced things, especially if it's something that somebody has already worked with and it's still not fixed. We need someone to come in there with like I said, a new set of eyes, a new perspective, and find out the root cause, and then come up with a solution with the community on how to fix that root cause. So that would be one of the first things. The other one is, I want to reach out to the community and find out what their priorities are from the school board. I've heard things about restructuring the way the school board has their meetings. A lot of people aren't happy that they get to speak for 3 to 5 minutes at the beginning, and then 30 minutes, 40 minutes later, when that issue is brought up, there's no, I don't want there to be a debate, but there's no questions that the citizens can ask as to why, and that's kind of just frustration, because we get up there and speak passionately, and it just seems sometimes that the director and the board already know what they're going to do, and now an hour and a half later the vote comes, and we can't question right before the vote to make sure that everyone understands why we feel a certain way. So those are just a couple of the things, sir.
Very good. Everybody talks about growth. It's all around us. There's no denying that. It is probably coming a little bit faster and a little bit more intense in our particular area than perhaps others, but the growth is coming. With that, of course, probably some opportunities, but some challenges. What do you see as what might be a challenge next year, or maybe within the term of your candidacy, if you were a board member? What
Yes,
are
sir.
some things that we need to be keeping our eye on the radar screen that may not be terrible yet, but if we don't get a handle on it, sure could be later on?
Okay, and a couple things come to mind. The first I'll say, when you're talking about the growth of Wilson County, we are growing exponentially. Like, it is, it's amazing if you see, the quickness of how sales for that amount of money. So the people are coming from other counties, from other states to Wilson County. Okay, and that's great. One thing that I want to make sure that we're forecasting ahead, though, is that they're coming to Wilson County, in my opinion, because of the teachers, of course, and the schools, but also because of what Wilson County is. All right, they've done their homework. Okay, if you look, Wilson County has voted conservative since the year 2000. Okay, 68% of Wilson County votes Republican conservative on the ballots. So when they see that, they're coming here because that's what they want. They love the conservative values. They love, they love that Wilson County, loves America. They love that Wilson County has faith. So they're moving here, and we've got to make sure that we don't alienate them, but we bring them in because they came here because they love our values. So we need to get together with them and show them exactly who we are and what our values are, so that then they can come on board and Wilson County stays exactly the way that it was built to be, which is, it's a great conservative town that has great things for children and a great place to live and close enough to a lot of cool places. But so we just got to make sure that when people do move in, that we are showing them what our values are and teaching them what our values are, so we can continue to be exactly what Wilson County needs to be. The other thing about things in the future, and this doesn't have much to do with growth, but I'd be remiss if I didn't mention, we've had a big dust up over books, okay, over library books, with the school board and the parents having differing opinions, and that's fine. It's they're in control of the school board members of voting for what they think is best for the constituents in the school. I think the reason a lot of the parents' awareness and concern is heightened is because just like the Trojan horse, right? The Trojan horse came in, they didn't know what was in it until it was too late, and then they all get out and we know the story. All right. So when we're worried about this, we're seeing the things on TV, like in Dallas, where, they took a bunch of young children to a drag show to dance, or to watch them dance. How did they get in that environment? How was that seen? Well, how was that okay? So I promise you, they didn't just wake up one day and decide to do that. It's a series of small decisions that they've made to make it acceptable to do something like that. So it starts with a library book. We don't want to ban books. We want age-appropriate books. However, when you start with something like this and introducing it to the school, they're not going to get rid of it. So it's either going to get built up or it's going to stay the same. And just like in that place in Dallas, it probably started with a book with sexually explicit stuff, and then it just gradually over time grew larger and larger to where it was accepted. So when we're arguing, or when we're having debate, or when we're disagreeing, it's because we don't want to get to that tipping point where other things way beyond just a book with pornographic material or sexually explicit materials in our libraries. What direction are we going if we're allowing that in? It kind of it puts Wilson County, puts these parents on on not a solid foundation, because we can see where it could go. Now, is it? Who knows? But with those being in there, it always starts somewhere. And I don't want to look back and say, wow, if we had stopped those books, back in 2022, we might not be where we are today. So that's just another thing that I want to think about, sir.
Very good. You mentioned a lot of people are moving here. They've done their homework. While there may be things that still need a lot of work, I think it's fair to say that Wilson County schools are doing a number of things probably pretty well, that take those and maybe just make them better. If you're talking to someone maybe not familiar with here and you want to talk about the schools, what are some things that are going well that impress you that you want to see keep doing well?
One of the most important things, especially with the tornado and COVID, it's the reaction and the motivation of our teachers, in the schools. They were given these circumstances that a lot of people would look at and just be overwhelmed, So here we are, and that's why our teachers are so great, because they're able to juggle all of these balls that people put, in their hands and not drop one of them. So when a teacher's dealing with, a loss of learning time, when a teacher's dealing with, everything being digital and having, issues with children not being able to get online. The main thing is the teachers here are amazing. They're the glue that keep it together, and they're held accountable by parents, and they're held accountable by the administration, and they're both like always having to please somebody, but their ability just to focus on the children is amazing to me. Okay, things that I mentioned that I don't necessarily agree with or I identify as issues. One of those has nothing to do with the teachers that we have, because those teachers, they're great, and they love our children, and they're doing the best that they can do considering the circumstances and the requirements that are put on them, whether it's from the state, the county. They're the ones that are always held accountable every day. And where parents can just throw daggers and administration can say, do this, teachers are the ones that are having to make it happen. So when I talk to somebody, teachers no doubt are one of the greatest assets that we have in this community, along with, like I said, we have a great police force, and there's a lot of great things going on, but I would specifically mention the teachers.
Fantastic. I'm sure they appreciate that. And I also don't think anybody can disagree with that either. So, as we kind of wrap up a little bit, time comes to an end. Would you mind wrapping up and telling voters why you feel like you're the best candidate for this position?
Okay, so why am I the best candidate? All right, I feel that Wilson County has an identity, right? Wilson County's identity is not hard to figure out. It's a community that loves God, right? It's a community that loves our country. It's a community that wants to protect our children and let them, keep their innocence for as long as possible until they're put in this chaos called world. And if you vote for me, those are the values that I'm going to be bringing to the school board to make sure that those things are carried out within our schools. If 70% of our county is conservative and they believe a certain way, it's concerning to me that 4 out of our 7 school board members and even the chairman, they're not necessarily Republicans or conservatives, and not that makes a big deal, but if the chairman, does not represent the 70% of the majority, there's a problem there. So that's my opinion. Okay, nobody else's. That's my opinion. So you need to vote for me. You need to vote for Beth Myers. You need to vote for Kim McGee, because we're the ones that represent the 70% that has made Wilson County great. So please, when you go to vote, look at the ballot. Look where it says Republican. Okay, because when it says independent, do you really know what their values are and what they stand for? Because that's what got us in the position that we're in now. Is it used to be nonpartisan and nobody knew, and they just picked who they thought, a name or who they thought would do a good job. Right here, you're going to know exactly what we stand for, because we stand with you. We stand with the 70% that makes Wilson County great, sir.
If I could, if folks want to learn a little bit more, you probably have a website that they could go look at for even more information.
Oh, yes, sir. So my website is we the people zone4.com.
All right.
And yes, please go check it
Very
out.
good. I want to make sure that if I haven't already mentioned it, we always want to encourage people to get out and exercise their right to vote and to be a part of the process. I want to thank you for your time today and wish you the best of luck in your campaign. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Mark. Sure.
Bye.